Hello, good afternoon Year 6 and welcome to our new geography unit, where today on our new unit we're going to be looking at weathering and erosion. Okay, as mentioned in my video this morning, we have started a new unit, we have finished with our history and we are moving on to this one now. So, first of all, we are going to be explaining how erosion and weathering can change the landscape. Now, you should have heard of the word erosion before because we did talk about it in our rivers topic. Okay, we talked about erosion and deposition. So, by the end of this lesson, you should be able to tell me what weathering and erosion mean. You should be able to name different types of weathering and describe how different types of weathering and how erosion changes rocks. Now, first of all, erosion. Can you remember what erosion is? Have a little think yourself. What is erosion? Well, we're going to watch this video which explains how water can shape the landscape through transportation and erosion of rocks. Now, sit back, enjoy, and I will see you in a few minutes to go through the next part of the video.
The Earth is covered in many different landforms. Landforms are natural features of the Earth's surface, like mountains, deserts, and plains. Although they may seem permanent, they are constantly changing, and much of that change is caused by a surprising force: water. Water changes the land through erosion. Erosion occurs when the surface of the earth wears away. Water can break down rock and dirt and carry the particles away to another place. This changes the shape of the landscape. The ocean is a powerful cause of erosion. Waves beat upon the shoreline, breaking up rocks along the coast. Sometimes this forms cliffs. Other times it may form beaches. Still other times it can create rock formations sticking up out of the water, called sea stacks. The way the ocean erodes the shore depends on how the water moves and what kind of rock the shore is made of. Rivers can make big changes in the land too, and the Grand Canyon is a famous example of this. Over many years, the Colorado River has carried away particles of dirt and rock, carving its path deeper and deeper into the ground. Today, the Grand Canyon is over 6,000 feet or 1,800 meters deep, and 18 miles or 29 kilometers wide in some places. Water does not have to be liquid to cause erosion. Ice can do it too. Glaciers are sometimes called rivers of ice because they are huge slabs of ice and snow that move very slowly across the landscape. As glaciers move, they break off and scrape away pieces of rock and stone. Glaciers can create many different landforms, including deep valleys, lakes, and fjords, as they carve their way across the land. Although water is not the only force that changes the landscape of our planet, it is an important one. Whether it's a whole ocean or just some rain, a little water can make a big difference.
Okay then, I hope you enjoyed that video and you have remembered what erosion is. Now let's look at weathering. What do you think weathering is? Have a little think. You may pick something up from the video. You may have your own ideas. What is weathering? Well, weathering is a process of wearing away rocks, okay, eating away at rocks. Now, there are three different types of weathering. There is physical weathering, there is chemical weathering, and biological weathering. What might happen in each one of those processes? What's the difference between physical weathering and chemical weathering and biological weathering? Look at the words before it. So we know that weathering is a process of wearing away rocks. So what would that have a little think. What could it be? Well, physical weathering. That is caused by physical processes, such as changes in temperature, freezing and thawing, okay, when water freezes and then melts, and the effects of wind, rain, and waves. Well, think about water in a bottle, okay? When we freeze water in a bottle, it will expand, okay? Now, water is unusual. When it expands, it expands when it freezes, okay? And that is like physical weathering, okay? And here's the example of that water freezing. So, if rainwater falls into a crack in a rock and then freezes, the water will expand. And if this happens many times, that freeze-thaw cycle, a crack in the rock will widen, and it could eventually even split the rock. So you can see it here, okay? Water's got in the cracks, and then overnight it is frozen, and then that's forced the rock apart slightly, okay? As the water has melted, it's gone deeper into the crack and refrozen, forcing it apart again, and so on and so on and so on, until potentially the rock could split or pieces fall off it, okay? And this is one type of physical weathering, okay? And remember, physical weathering is anything to do with changes in temperature, freezing and thawing, and the effects of any wind, rain, or waves, okay? That's physical weathering. Chemical weathering. Well, that is caused by a substance reacting to minerals in the rock. Now think of this scientifically in this example, okay? Think about when you mix vinegar and bicarbonate of soda, okay? It foams and the bubbles show you that a chemical change is happening. Now, the acidic vinegar is reacting to the bicarbonate of soda, and that produces a gas, okay? And that is a chemical change. And that is the same with chemical weathering, okay? Rainwater is slightly acidic, okay? So if acidic rain falls onto rocks, such as limestone, over time it will dissolve some of the rock. Again, it's not like one rain downpour happens and suddenly the rocks melt. No, of course not. It takes a long time and it's a long process, okay? But as you can see here, it wears away at different features, okay? Again, look at the face here, look at the arm, okay? So that is a type of chemical weathering. Now, chemical weathering is anything to do with a substance reacting to minerals in the rocks. And then finally, we have got biological weathering. Have a look at these photographs. Biological weathering. What has happened here? That might help it explain what biological weathering is. So, this ivy plant here has grown aerial roots which have attached to the brick wall, and this has now caused parts of the brick to fall away. Okay, the brick's been crumbled here. Let's look at the next one. Again, the green and yellow plants here growing across this are called lichens. Now, they produce acids which slowly eat away at the surface of the rock. Okay, you'll often see this with a lot of older rocks. Look at here, what's happened here? Again, this has been worn away, these stairs have been worn away by humans walking up and down the stairs. If you live in a slightly older building, you may be able to even go and see this on your stairwell. And then finally, again, roots from trees and other plants can grow into or under rocks with such force that they can cause damage or even split the rock into two. So this is biological weathering, okay? And biological weathering is to do with any plant or animal or microorganism affecting the rock around it, okay? From humans to other animals, to plants, okay, to tree roots, and to things like the mold and the fungus, okay, and moss that grows onto these things. Okay, so that is biological weathering. So we've got physical weathering. That is the changes by physical processes like temperature, freezing and thawing. We've got chemical weathering, okay, that is caused by substances reacting to minerals in rocks. And we've got biological weathering, where it is plants, animals and microorganisms that affect rock. Okay, remember, weathering is a process of wearing away at the rock. Now then, your task today is to organise the 10 specific types of weathering that I have sent on the sheet to you into the 3 subheadings: physical, chemical and biological. So you're going to have to read the information and work out, is it a physical weathering process, a chemical weathering process or a biological weathering process? Okay, and then for each example you'll need to come up with one place in the world that this may happen. Okay, some of them will only happen in certain parts of the country or certain parts of the world, and other ones will happen potentially everywhere. Okay, so you just need to work out which ones may happen where. When you've done that, you need to send your work to me, okay, and I will send you a link to a video that will explain some of these in more detail and give you some of the answers. If you want a further challenge after all of this, you of course can research how wind causes erosion, or you could look at Ayers rock, which is this rock here, which is made from sandstone. Now, you will need to describe 3 things that could change the shape of this and explain the likely outcome of each one of these processes. Now they have further challenges and they are completely optional, okay? But you must do task 1 here and task 2 here, okay? Send your work to me and then I will send you a link to the new video. Thank you very much, Year 6. Have a wonderful session, and as always, if you need any help, send me a message and I will get back to you as quickly as I can.